Welcome to the Infidel Podcast of the Damned, the weekly companion show of the Infidel News. Join us as we discuss this week's religious accounts from an atheist perspective. From Timbuktu to Toledo, from Kathmandu to Canada, from Bangalore to Bangladesh. We deplore, you deride. And here are your hosts, Dave and Nicole.
Hello and welcome to show number 28 of the Infidel Podcast of the Damned. I'm your host, atheist and author J. David Core, and with me is my co-host Nicole Simard. Hello, Nicole.
Hey, how's it going?
Also joining us today is popular Twitter atheist pooroldkilgore, aka Alyssa. Welcome to the show, Alyssa.
Hey.
Today is Friday, May 15th, 2015, and we're going to be discussing the upcoming episodes of the Infidel News, which will run beginning Monday, May 18th, 2015. Today's newsreader is the Mudbrooker. Show notes for all of our podcasts can be found at infidelpodcast.blogspot.com. And as I mentioned, our guest today is Alyssa, who on Twitter is pooroldkilgore, and will be soon starting a YouTube account for joining the atheist YouTube community, and that account will also be called pooroldkilgore. And pooroldkilgore is a reference to Kilgore Trout from Kurt Vonnegut's writings, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Kurt Vonnegut. Really obsessed. So.
Yes, I've always.
I even have a Slaughterhouse-5 tattoo. So that's how much I love him. Yeah.
That's cool.
So what got you into Kurt Vonnegut?
Well, oh geez, my dog is bugging me now. I noticed that a favorite history teacher of mine in high school and my stepfather liked him. So then I was like, okay, I like them, look up to them, I should start reading Vonnegut. And as soon as I picked up one of his books, I just had to keep reading them. They were so good. And I'll still go back and read some of them over and over again. Like Slaughterhouse-5, I can't count how many times I've read that.
Yeah, Slaughterhouse-5 is probably his most popular. My favorite was Cat's Cradle.
Oh yeah, I love that one too. It's been a while since I've read that one. I've been kind of wanting to go back to that one.
Yeah. And what was one of his books of essays, not Wampeter's Foma and Granfalloon, but the one that came after that, I forget. He had you know the one I'm talking?
No, I immediately I thought of the one you just mentioned.
Okay.
There's this short stories, Welcome to the Monkey House, but I can't
Welcome
remember.
To the Monkey. Yeah, that's great. But the one that he wrote after that came after Wampeter's Foma and Granfalloon is a collection of essays. Mm-hmm. There's a article. One of them is his. He was doing a college commencement address, and it was called "Why I'm a Freethinker" or something like that.
Yeah, he has so much freethinker and humanist stuff throughout his work.
Yeah, so. But that one I stuck in my memory because he talks about being his family was he had a history of being from freethinkers. His great grandfather or his grandfather was on the school board and tried to get religion out of school. And that's like at the turn of the century, like a long time ago. So
yeah, he also talks about his family being humanist in God Bless You, Dr. Kevorkian.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. He in his intro, he mentions what you just mentioned too, and I love that about him. I think that's kind of one of the things that's helped me kind of to be a passionate atheist humanist kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But I thought that
he was a big driving force.
Yeah, but I thought his most famous story was the one about Harrison Bergeron.
Oh, I love that one. That one's so good. The short story.
Yeah.
About the future where everything is supposed to be equal. That is, that's funny. You could apply the whole thing with what's going on with social justice warriors to that story. The whole everybody be equal kind of thing. And when it's actually kind of ruins things. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you take it's kind of like taking liberalism to too much of an extreme kind of thing. I consider myself really liberal, but yeah, when people go too out of control with it, it can be just as harmful as the other extreme.
Yeah, there's a middle ground where you have but
yeah,
and people like the right wing in the United States right now. Nicole's Canadian, where it's a little bit more liberal to begin with, but
A lot more.
a lot more, yeah. But in the United States, the right wing, this country has shifted so far to the right, and they still think we're too liberal.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: Obama would be considered a good conservative in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny with people calling him socialist in this country, and I'm like, he is not socialist, really,
Not even close.
whatsoever. Like, I would be so happy if we had a democratic socialist president, because, like, I kind of agree with many socialist things, so, yeah.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders is running, but he doesn't stand a chance. But he's,
Yeah.
But
There's
hopefully,
Hillary,
well, Hillary's going to win it. But hopefully, see, my thought is, well, I mean, she's definitely
but
going to win
she's
the
too
Democratic
right-wing.
nomination.
See,
She is too right wing.
I don't love her, but I just rather her than any Republican.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like,
And then the Republicans
if
are
it
running.
comes down to it and she's on the Democratic ticket, I'll go for it. But I would be super happy if it was Bernie Sanders.
Yes, I would too. But here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Bernie Sanders being on the campaign on her heels, and Elizabeth Warren, if she would get into the race, that would be enough of a reason for her to shift left, and actually get some things accomplished when she becomes president, because she would have to, she would have to promise things, and she would have to, follow through with at least some of them.
Yeah.
So but as it stands, if she just gets the nomination, there's no reason for her to shift at all, and she could just stay where she is, and try to appease the right, like Obama's been doing for the last 6.5 years for no reason.
Yes. In case any of our listeners wants to find out about your, subscribe to your tweets, what do you talk about?
Oh, geez, what do I talk about? Well, I mostly focus on my atheistic opinions and thoughts. And, sometimes just random funny things that come to me, or, like, talking about things I like, just cartoons or video games and such. But, yeah, my account is mostly atheist-focused. So.
Yeah, but you've got a couple of cosplay things. When you start on YouTube, what?
Yeah, no, I was like, See, it's funny. I totally forgot. I do cosplay too. Yeah, I on my Twitter, I also I kind of mentioned video games and cartoons. I try to focus on my nerdy aspects of myself. So yeah, I put up my cosplay up there. I don't cosplay too often. I try to at least go to New York Comic Con every year, because I live in New Jersey, and I want to go to more conventions and do more cosplay. It's so much fun. But yes, I do that.
So that would also be, I assume, a focus of your YouTube channel, which you get it going to.
Yeah, probably the same kind of themes that are going on my Twitter account would also translate over to my YouTube account. Same sorts of things I would talk about.
And you also blog, and you post your blog on your Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and your blog is pretty good, very good. I enjoy your blog.
We lost your video.
Nicole.
We lost your
my
video, David.
Where'd my video go? Okay, I'll bring it back. There, is it coming back?
Yep.
Yeah. We're having all kind of glitches today. I don't know what the heck. I'm gonna blame sunspots.
Yeah. Forget about Christian glitches this week. It's going to be David Core's glitches.
David's glitches, yes, that's true. So you've got the Twitter, and you've got your blog, and you're going to be starting a YouTube channel. And those are the three primary places that you're going to be focused on the internet, right?
Yeah, mostly.
No Facebook?
I am not a fan of Facebook. I have a personal account, but I barely ever go on it. It's just kind of kept around as the thing that helps me with birthdays. So maybe I'll make more of an official Facebook account for myself when I do the YouTube channel. But right now I am Twitter obsessed, as as Dave knows. So.
Yes. Yes, you're on there constantly. But that's fine. I enjoy seeing yourself. But your account, like I have 81 whole followers on Twitter, and I got them all. I got them all organically, so I'm very proud of that. But you have 7,558 followers as of this taping.
Yep, that's so crazy. I don't know why. Like I'm following 1,400 something people. So yeah, at least like a chunk of that is like people that I'm following back. But yeah, I don't know how I have so many followers, and it's awesome, and I love my followers. Lots of nice people. So yeah, it's great.
But
It's
how do
kind
you
of fun
keep
to get
track?
popular.
How do you keep track
What?
of 1,400 people? Who are.
Well, there's a good amount I like interact with a lot, but I don't interact with all of them that much. So
Yeah. And I'll say this too, as an observer of your account, a lot of the bigger atheists on Twitter get into fights a lot.
yeah.
And you don't do that. I mean, it's not that I've never seen you get snippy with somebody, but you're not like a lot of the bigger YouTube atheists where you'll just like argue with people.
Yeah, I debate sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not,
Yeah, like it's mostly like I kind of wait for Christians to come to me. Like I like to kind of like get them to notice me. I in a good amount of my atheistic tweets, I do put like hashtag Christian, hashtag Jesus, or Team Jesus, whatever I can think of to like whatever pops up as a trending hashtag that's Christian related. And so every once in a while I'll get like either people that are already following me for whatever other reason, didn't realize they were following an atheist, commenting on my posts like that. That's always kind of interesting. And or just people like looking at that certain hashtag will comment. And yeah, I'll debate them back, but I try to be as civil as possible. Every once in a while, it's really hard because I have a good amount of people like throwing out their claws quick with me, and I'm like, but I'm trying to be so nice and civil.
yeah.
But it is pretty cool. Like people do notice that. Sometimes I get like kind of compliments on that, so like I really appreciate that. Yeah.
It's refreshing actually from an observer point of view that
I really want to push positive atheism. Like I'm really, really, really tired of like the negative stereotypes of like I love Christopher Hitchens. I like look up to him. See, the funny thing is to me, I feel like I get like some snippy Hitchensy moments, but like I try to do it in like a smart way of not like really insulting people. But yeah, there's too much snark sometimes that's like kind of misdirected and too mean with like communicating with Christians, and I'm like, we need to represent our community a bit better. So yeah, I'm just tired of the bad stereotypes about atheists.
Yeah. Have you which celebrity tweets do you, that are atheist? Like I'm on I get Ricky Gervais's feed.
Oh, I was just about to say him. He's like my favorite, favorite like very famous atheist, I guess. So other than that, I think I'd like one that's like popping up that's like kind of a major one is Mr. Oz Atheist. I like him, so I can't think of anybody else right now.
I'll have to look him up because I'm not on his feed. I'll have to look him up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So our audience then, you'll be able to check out our show notes and the description for all of the places where you can find Alyssa. And I really recommend that you at least follow her Twitter account because it is worth following. And hopefully we'll see what her videos look like when they come up. So,
Yep. Hopefully they'll be good.
Yeah. I have faith in you.
Faith?
Faith? I be like atheist with faith. Oh.
No, I have
it's
faith
funny,
in
we
people.
demonize that word too much. I have faith in humanity, so I'm I'm super like so humanist sometimes, like so humanist it hurts. Like I just want to see humanity be better, and like yeah.
Right. Right. Well, that's what they say. Faith is trust without evidence, and
Yeah.
so faith in humanity is faith. It's not trust because
Yeah.
there's no reason to trust them.
Like I have little bits of evidence of like there's good people out there. Like I think
Right.
one of my other humanist influences besides Kurt Vonnegut is Carl Sagan. There's something about how Carl Sagan looked at the universe that like just makes me go like, oh, you're so awesome.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
you make me feel great, kind of thing. Like God, watching Cosmos gives me like religious experiences, kind of thing.
Well, that's what in my book, which is over my shoulder here. I talk about Carl Sagan, and I say the exact same thing about Carl Sagan, that
Yeah,
he was so soft spoken, so gentle,
yeah.
and so persuasive without being in your face.
Hmm. He also
So,
kind of reminds me of Kermit the Frog. So
well, if you have that cadence, yeah.
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 I was a big Muppet fan as a kid, so
Oh, so that's why you're an atheist, because of
oh,
uh,
it's funny. I look back at so many things that I loved from my childhood, and like so many like non-believer things attached to it, like Jim Henson, and I also loved Star Trek a ton as a kid, like so
mhm,
Gene Roddenberry, like
right.
huge, so many influences on me, like crazy.
Okay,
My
I'd like you
yeah.
to tell me where I'm going wrong because I try to be nice, but sometimes I just can't handle it. Like I had
Because
this
you're
guy, okay, and he told me that just the fact that we exist is proof that God exists. So I said, okay, let's just say for the sake of argument that our mere existence is proof of the existence of a deity. How do you know it's yours and none other than yours? And he says, how do I know what is mine? Not sure what you're asking. Like, you know. So,
Yeah.
and so I said, how do you know it's your God and no other God? And he put, my God? There's only one God. I'm not aware of any others. So I
Yeah,
had enough
sometimes
there. I had enough, and I said, are you being intentionally obtuse? And, I can't handle stupid.
oh geez. Yeah, I had a conversation kind of similar to that last night where just everything I was saying, I felt like they were just being very like purposely not understanding me or twisting around what I say. And I don't know, I have a crazy amount of patience sometimes, and yeah, I think it's best to just try to break things down really simply. Like the really hard thing about like going back and forth on Twitter is like, or just in general with Christians, in like even has happened to me in like just normal conversation with them like in person, where they just throw out so many claims and you just have to stop and like break them all down. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets a bit rough, but yeah, I think the best thing is just to be patient and just try to take things slow. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, that thing about them throwing out too many claims, that happens. But probably one of the reasons why you hate Facebook is because that happens a lot on Facebook. You'll say,
Hmm.
I'll make a post on Facebook, and then somebody on the religious right or the Christian right or the just the political right, if it's a political post, will come
Hmm.
in and they'll make 4 or 5
Yeah.
points about it, and then I have to go back in and counter each of those points, and
Hmm.
then it becomes this large thing that's not even on topic anymore,
Hmm.
and it just snowballs. It goes all in all different directions, and you can't keep it on
Yeah,
track.
and the really hard thing is like a lot of times just in general I've noticed like Christians love to throw out like non sequiturs just to like throw you off the trail of like what's actually being talked about. Like I get so many of them like trying to go off topic, and I'm like, just rein it in, pull it back, and it's very very hard to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on with the show and begin with our first news piece.
Okay, here we go.
20 out of India's 29 states have a ban on the slaughter of cows and bulls for meat consumption. Many of these laws were already in place before Prime Minister Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party assumed power in the last election. However, since a new law has been imposed in the northern state of Haryana and the western state of Maharashtra, the home of DNR, India's largest abattoir, there have been a number of complications both to India's Muslim minority and the country's huge beef exports industry, as well as the cows themselves. The law, which only applies to cows and not buffalo or goats, has eliminated incentive for ranchers to care for the cows and cull the herds. This situation is stressing the animals which have traditionally been allowed to roam free. Meanwhile, many Muslims have lost their jobs in the slaughterhouses and prices for various meat products have skyrocketed. The All India Millie Council, a group representing the Muslim beef industry, petitioned for permission to bring in Jersey cattle, which they argue shares a lack of religious sentimental attachment with buffalo and goats. However, Indian courts have ruled that a cow means a cow, and the request was denied.
Okay, so this story is an example of the law of unintended consequences. Did you catch what the story was, Alyssa?
Mm-hmm. No, I heard it.
Okay, yeah. So we have because of religious sentiments of people who don't want the cows to be slaughtered for consumption, the buffalo herds and the goats are being slaughtered even more. The abattoirs are going out of business, and it's causing people to be unemployed in India, which already has a huge poverty problem, and it's affecting non-Hindus. It's affecting the Muslim population. You have even the wild cows are being stressed because of it, because there's nobody culling the herd anymore. So this whole, and so you have this idea. People have this idea that Hinduism is more pro-animal because of their veneration of the cow, but that's not the case at all. It's not even. It's just cows have this religious sentiment attached to it that has nothing to do with whether that they're animals. They don't care that they're animals. It's that
it's a cow.
It's a cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just really, and they've been trying to get this law passed forever. They finally get in power, and the first thing they do is they pass this law without thinking it through, just because of their religious sentiments. It's just, I don't know, annoying.
That's the thing. That's the thing about all religious folks is they can't seem to understand that what they think, what they believe is good for them, but they should let others go through with their own beliefs.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of vegetarians who are secular humanists and atheists, and they tend to be people who just believe that killing animals for our use is wrong. And I can understand that point of view, and I appreciate that point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But there's a idea where you have to take the welfare of the animals into consideration too. If you're going to stop, for example, if you're going to quit hunting deer because you don't think people, if you were a vegetarian and you got in control and you decided we're gonna outlaw hunting deer because it's wrong to hunt deer, what are you going to do about the wild deer now? Mm-hmm. You have to do something because it affects them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely like just stuck in their own way of thinking and like not thinking about the opinions of others around them and how they're actually affecting the world. I think religion kind of puts blinders on people when it comes to seeing how the world is affected in many ways. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's the situation in India with cows too is people have been in the West. People don't really understand what the religious attitude toward cows is, because I was led to believe for years that they thought that cows were a reincarnation of people, but that's not the case.
No.
I've
just heard the generic "they're sacred" kind of thing. I've never really looked into the specifics. So
yeah, it does. And it's really complicated logic that they have behind the cow too, because there doesn't seem to be a reason why the cows are venerated the way they are, except that they provide milk, and they provide they actually use the dung from cattle.
I think I saw that in like Ricky Gervais's Carl Pinkel, I can never say his name. Idiot Abroad. I saw that in an Idiot Abroad episode, I think. when Carl went to India.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, I need to look into the Eastern religions a bit more. I'm mostly know about the Abrahamic ones because I was raised Christian, so.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I had to find out. I did a lot of research on Hinduism about 20 years ago when I was in my 30s, and wanted to learn more about not because I wanted to learn more about it because I was interested in becoming a Hindu, but I just wanted to know more about world religion in general. And I think we should know as much about the different religions as we can.
Yeah.
Because it makes us better educated when we argue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nicole, are you ready to move on to the next story?
Yes, we are. Here we go.
Mount Herzl's Victims of Acts of Terrorism Memorial contains plaques to commemorate victims of violence in its particularly important site during the Remembrance Day holiday that celebrates the end of the Second World War. This year, the memorial was to have added the name of Mohammed Abu Qadir, an East Jerusalem Palestinian teenager who was burned alive by 3 Israeli extremists after being abducted from his home last year. The Israeli government has proposed the addition, which would include a financial stipend to the boy's family. However, there has already been an outpouring of opposition from Israelis who felt that the memorial should be reserved for Israeli soldiers and private citizens who have been victimized by Arab violence over the years. But the government reversed itself after the teen's own family denounced the move, saying they wanted no money or recognition from the Israelis and that their son was, instead, a Palestinian martyr, and they would find his inclusion on the Israeli memorial shameful.
It's a story where there's just bigots on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, that's just silly.
I just think the whole, I can see where they're coming from. I'm just gonna sound so I don't know what I'm talking about with this, or I don't know. But with the whole Palestinian Israeli thing, it just seems to be just sticking to especially on the Israeli side of sticking to just wanting to think the other group is superior and needs more land kind of thing. And my thing is, why do we need these borders? Why do we need to even have our different labels for ourselves? We're all people. And I think with the whole different religions, different culture kind of thing, people get caught up in the whole they're completely different thing when we're actually the same. And yeah, it's the bigotry in that whole story, geez, unnecessary.
Yeah, from both sides. You have you have Jews saying we shouldn't put Palestinians on. The guy was not. He wasn't a Palestinian trouble causer. He was a guy who was a guy who was lynched by Jews, and then so they felt that he deserved the same kind of recognition. And that makes sense.
Yeah, the whole thing with the Israel-Palestine thing that really annoys me is Americans in general that just kind of automatically side with Israel kind of thing. I'm not really siding with either, but they're both doing awful things to each other. And it's just there's no need for it, and it should stop. But it's going to continue because of racial and cultural hatred. So
right, yeah, it'll never end. But when you have I did find it insulting that the government of Israel was going to give a financial stipend to the family. That's insulting, and that part I can understand. But wanting to put him on a memorial is not insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for them to find that insulting is just bad faith.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that insulting that the government was going to give them something for it.
Well, it's like paying for it. It's like paying for it.
But at the same time, they did lose their son.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think if you can give to somebody that's going through a really hard time, might as well.
Oh yeah. From that point of
Like
view.
it could,
Well, but that's not how.
it could pay for them to go to therapy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
yeah,
or they could just provide therapy, which
yeah,
grief counseling.
yeah,
That's really what it's about.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, let's go ahead and do the third story, Nicole.
All right.
Just prior to World War I, approximately 1.5 million Armenians were killed in what was left of the Ottoman Empire. Historians have applied the word genocide to this event, even though the word was first coined in references to the killing of millions of Jews by Nazi Germany years later. Turks, however, reject this terminology, arguing that these were just casualties of a long and messy war, and that there was no order from on high to exterminate any group of people as the word genocide implies. And so, Pope Francis has raised the ire of a leading Islamic cleric, Mehmet Gormez of Turkey, who has called the Pope immoral for using the word genocide to describe the killing of Armenians while commemorating the 100th anniversary of this sad moment in world history. Gormez also stated that if measures of suffering and pain caused were compared, the Vatican would come out the loser, presumably referring to the Crusades. But Gormez likewise condemned those who use the words of the Quran to justify acts of violence, naming such groups as the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham, ISIS, Boko Haram, al-Shabaab, and al-Qaeda as examples.
Okay, Gormez is full of shit, and I'll tell you why. The word genocide has been used to describe the death of the American Indians from smallpox. So it's not just a word that you use to describe things after World War II, and it's not just a word used to describe intentional killing of people, because the smallpox genocide was not intentional necessarily.
Let me.
Initially, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Were,
Let's put it this way.
They were
English.
blankets, so.
Yeah, they picked the blankets. They gave the blankets of people who had the pox to give to the Indians.
Right. That's true. There were limited incidents, but
that's biological warfare.
The spread of there were, and that's true. But there was a spread of smallpox prior to that was pretty much wiped them out. That's what led them to figure out that these smallpox infested blankets would kill people. So the genocide itself, the biological aspect of the genocide was very small. It was actually largely just accidental. But anyway. Moving on from that, though, there were other episodes of genocide, and the Catholic Church has never actually participated in a genocide. Even the Crusades could not be considered a genocide, except for one. There's one incident in the Crusades, and that's the Albigensian Crusade, where they specifically tried to eliminate the Cathars. That's the only thing the Catholic Church has ever been involved with, and I'm not defending the Catholic Church, but that's the only thing they've ever been involved with that could rightly be called a genocide. So Gomez was wrong on all three counts, in my estimation.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like they won't the Vatican won't come out with it, but their dealings with Germany during World War II. I would say like that's not a direct involvement in genocide. But that's not really helping to stop it. So,
right.
Yeah.
But there were actually though there was a lot of the underground was also Catholic. It wasn't the Vatican, but it was Catholic.
Yeah, so, no, but I think there's a big distinction between the central institution and like Catholic individuals.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. And actually a lot of weren't the Armenians also or not the Armenians? Who was the other group? There was another group. There was a group that the Nazis went after that was largely Catholic.
Oh, gypsies?
Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah. So there was that too.
Yeah.
So, but
then nobody has ever liked the gypsies. They've always been persecuted.
Yeah.
Well, that's yeah. And to this day, you live in New Jersey. There's a lot of gypsies in like Hoboken.
Yeah. They'll I haven't really come into that. I haven't really like walked into them too much, but I've heard stories. Like they do the whole like go ring your doorbell and ask if you want your driveway paved for like a good deal kind of thing. And they just kind of travel around doing construction things like that, I've heard. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a TV show dedicated to gypsies.
I've watched the TLC their wedding, My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. That is really, really funny.
I've never watched it.
I like the British version better than the American version. I think the British gypsies are a little bit more interesting than the American ones.
Yeah.
But the original movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that was fantastic.
Yeah, but that was about Greeks, not about gypsies. But
yeah.
The gypsies in that I've seen on My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding, the ones that I've seen on the previews and stuff like that, feel very Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The fake tans, the big hair, and really brightly colored clothes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in North Jersey. I'm in like not too far outside of New York City. Like, there's not too much of the spray tan and Jersey Shore look going on in the part of Jersey I'm in. So.
Yeah, but then if you cross over a little bit, you get to Long Island, and it's back again.
Oh, geez, yeah, the Long Island accent is so. See, I lived in Michigan until I was like 10 years old, so like, I'm not originally from New Jersey, but I definitely love New Jersey a lot, and but yeah, I definitely am not totally a Jersey girl, and I'm so glad I don't have the accent.
Yeah, I have cousins who moved from, or their mother moved from Ohio and raised her family in Philadelphia, which is right there with New Jersey, and they have the accent, they have the hair, they come to the family reunions, and it's like New Jersey just came to my house, it's like it's Philadelphia. It's not even New Jersey, it's Philadelphia.
Yeah, that the part of Jersey close to Philadelphia, very, very different from the part I grew up in. So
yeah. Or the part where you lived, can you make left turns?
Yeah. Oh, well, just in general, Jersey driving can drive a person crazy. Yeah. I especially hate the highways. I'm like never going fast enough for people. I'm always like getting people passing me and cutting me off and stuff, and I'm like going like at least 15 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Like people have no patience.
Have you ever driven in Boston?
Oh, no.
You don't want to drive in Boston.
No. I won't even drive in the city. I usually take the train if I go to New York. So yeah. Either somebody else is driving or I'm on the train.
Yeah, I've never been to New York City. I've been all over the country. I've never been to New York City. I've always wanted to go, but I just never had a reason to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have been to Hoboken, and it was awful.
There's some nice parts of Hoboken. There's actually like really nice bars and restaurants around there. It's funny. It's kind of like a early 20 Jersey thing to like when you hit 21, you start going to Hoboken a lot because you can like take the train there, not worry about driving, and there's lots of nice bars down there. So.
But do you think
I only did that a little bit, but I'm not much of a bar person. I'm like more of a homebody.
But do you think that with the television that has a kind of neutral accent, and the internet, everybody on YouTube has a neutral accent, that accents per se, regional accents are going down. Like the thing is, I can watch some people from Texas, and very often they don't have a Texas accent.
Yeah,
well, Texas is large.
Well, there's also lots of transplants in Texas, like especially like Austin. Yeah.
But if you're it may be your French Canadian ear that's not able to hear the distinctions. But in the United States, I can tell if somebody's from Houston or Dallas. I can tell if somebody's from Portland. I can tell if somebody's from Dakota, one of the Dakotas. And a lot of people probably can't hear that subtle difference, but there's.
I used to have more of an accent when I was younger. I can still like bring it back sometimes, especially if I'm around like my Midwestern family. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I try to keep like my like Middle America accent going on. But yeah, I can bring on the Midwestern kind of.
Yeah.
I have to start myself off. I have to go like dis dat and over there.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a weird Michigan accent.
Yeah. Yeah. If you travel the circuit from Michigan, if you go from like say Flint down through Detroit, down through Toledo, over to Cleveland, down into Pittsburgh, it's almost the same accent with just a slight.
See, like I was from the Upper Peninsula up by Wisconsin. The accent up there is kind of different from the accent down in the Lower Peninsula. I think it's like a little bit more like closer to like Canadian accent. So
Yeah. Yeah. The only in that circuit like that I was describing, the only weird place in there is parts of Cleveland, like in Parma. Have you ever heard anybody from Parma? And people from Parma, they have those strangest accents.
I just love Midwestern accents in general. Like anytime I hear them, I'm like, oh, I have moments of like missing living in the Midwest. Like I still like go back there every once in a while, but when I actually do go back to the Midwest, everyone's like, I'm always like, but there's not a sushi place around, and where's the bagels? And I get like, I just start to miss Jersey when I've like only left Jersey for a few days. So it's awful.
Sushi is actually I'm in the Midwest, and sushi is actually, you can find it now, but it's like airport sushi. You don't really trust it.
Yeah. I like the last time I went to Michigan, I was like talking to some people, and like a good amount of them were like, yeah, I've never tried it, and I just was like, oh my god, it's so good.
I love sushi, but you have to go to a genuine sushi bar to get good sushi, and it costs ridiculous money. But if you go, there's a lot of like all you can eat places around here that actually have like really good sushi, and we're kind of lucky on the coast kind of thing, you know. Yeah. Both coasts like get the fresher fish and you get better fish.
Yeah.
Although you can get good seafood. For some reason, you can get good seafood in Buffalo, and I think it's because of the Niagara River, but I'm not.
Probably
really sure. You can get real good seafood.
Who would want fish from the Niagara River?
No, it's not from the Niagara River. It's the fact that the river is there.
It's the fact that there's like the boats. And... Yeah.
Ugh.
But you can get cheap lobster in Buffalo. They have like lobster shacks in Buffalo. You can get good cheap lobster. It's like going to Maine, but it's in Buffalo. It's really weird. Can't find it anywhere else, but you can find it in Buffalo.
Like, I don't know about the rest of the Great Lakes, but I would never eat anything from the Ontario Great Lake.
Oh, you don't eat the fish from the lakes? No, it's not. No,
I think you can have stuff from Lake Superior.
Yeah.
I remember like when I was a kid, like having fresh fish like family members going fishing. So.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do the Christian glitches. And see what that's about.
Oh, prepare yourself.
But I believe it's time for the TSA. This is the government bureaucracy that's responsible for protecting us from jihadist attacks through the air to keep Muslims from blowing up our planes. And so as a part of that, they will frisk passengers who for some reason or another look suspicious, or they'll do it at random. Now, what we are seeing repeatedly now, this is something that's coming up almost every day, is we are seeing that passengers are being sexually groped by TSA agents of the same sex. And I'm suggesting, just based on recent experience, based on what's happening, based on passenger complaints, reports that have been filed, Judicial Watch got 58 pages of passenger complaints about their treatment at the hands of TSA agents, and a number of them have to do with unwanted sexual touching. And I'm thinking maybe it's time for the TSA, maybe it makes sense, just common sense, if our concern is to protect passenger safety, if our concern is to protect the sexual integrity of those that fly America's airways, then one of the things we may need to do at the TSA is start discriminating in our hiring practices on the basis of sexual orientation.
Brett,
Oh,
genius.
he's always hilarious. I've watched many a Brian Fisher video just to laugh at the crazy conservativeness out there.
Yeah, I actually, yeah.
Wow.
That's good. That's a good idea. Just put make sure that you don't hire any gay people to do any job in the world, and then everything.
Well, no, it's because they have to touch people, and you don't want them molesting people because gay people just equals molesters.
and they cannot keep their hands off.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
What's her name? The orange juice lady, Anita Bryant.
Oh yeah.
Anita Bryant is alive and well. We can't have gay people teaching our kids.
She's still around? Wow.
I don't know. I think she might have died a couple years ago. But
Oh, okay.
but her spirit lives on apparently through Brian Fisher.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Brian Fisher, he's a fun guy. Like in that he's a mushroom. Okay.
Actually, Anita Bryant is still alive. She's 75 years old.
Oh, is that all? Okay. So Anita Bryant's alive, but B.B. King is dead. That's just not.
There is no God.
There is no God. Before we go, I do want to point out, I do want to mention for the sake of our audience, a few weeks ago we interviewed Mike Newdow, who is, are you familiar with Mike Newdow, Alyssa?
No.
He's a lawyer who several years ago sued to have One Nation Under God removed from the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
And he has a new lawsuit. He almost won. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court refused to hear the case for spurious reasons. But he has a new case coming out now where he's suing to have In God We Trust removed from the money. And we contacted him about being on our show, and I told him that he was looking for plaintiffs in different states, and I'm one of his plaintiffs in Ohio. So he sent me a letter today, and I wanted to update our audience on what's going on with that suit, so that if there's anybody interested in being a plaintiff. So here's the letter real quickly, and I'll post it on our website too. But he says, things are going wonderfully as we wend our way towards the invalidation of In God We Trust descriptions on the nation's money. We now have 10 or more plaintiffs in 5 of the 7 circuits in which we are filing our challenges. Way to go, thanks to you all. The 2 circuits that don't have a full complement of plaintiffs are the first, which is Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Puerto Rico, and the 11th, which is Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. Thus, if any of you know any similarly minded people in those locations, please forward this email or otherwise let them know about this litigation. So if any of our audience members are from any of those places and you're interested in getting involved in potentially historic litigation, please let me know or let us know, or and we'll put you in contact with Mr. Newdow.
I'm so bummed New Jersey's not on there.
I know he's got all these in New Jersey now, but the first district is weird: Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that is strange.
We'll just stick Puerto Rico in there. That's kind of strange, but But also, if you have kids that are willing to be involved in it, they're particularly looking for plaintiffs that have kids because that helps with the case. They'll keep your kids' names out of it. And also, they need organizations to get involved also. So if you have some kind of a nonprofit organization that would be willing to get involved in this, also, that's another thing you might want to contact Mike under. So, okay. Nicole, did you have anything that you wanted to make sure that was mentioned in this week's show?
Yes, I wanted to tell people that I've got a new show coming up. It's going to be monthly or something like that. So there'll be months where there'll be a lot of episodes, and sometimes I may have to skip a month, but it's going to be called Skeptalks, and it's going to be a taping of different skeptics or atheists, as maybe I should have said, who are doing a presentation on various topics. The first episode is going to be a history professor who's talking about the Sasquatch and how a lot of people are conspiracy theorists, and the only reason they believe there's any proof of the Sasquatch is because there are conspiracies to hide the fact that Sasquatch exists. Next month, it's going to be Jerry Coyne. Jerry Coyne's going to be presenting his new book, Faith versus Fact, and so on. And I will also be present at the CFI conference in June that will take place in Buffalo. And so I'm going to have 3 days worth of conference of talks of all kinds, and that will be presented as well. And one thing that is going to be first for atheist YouTube channels is it's going to be all presented in 4K. So instead of HD resolution, people will be able to view it in 4 times the HD resolution, 3800 by 21 or 2200 DPI. So it's going to be very high.
Very good. And because of that, you're not going to be around for a show next week, so we're going to have a skip a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so our audience should know that we won't be back for 2 weeks. And when we come back, we have who are our guests when we come back?
Yes, we do. But I'm
But we're
trying
not
to
telling
get
anybody.
exactly.
Okay, so nobody know it's a secret, top secret. 2 weeks from now, top secret. Okay, so poor old Kilgore, poor old Kilgore, POOROLDKILGORE, BOLOGNA, is Alyssa's Twitter and going to be her YouTube channel. And what's your blog?
atheistnerdgirl.wordpress.com.
Okay.
It's in my bio on my Twitter, so.
Okay, very good. Okay. All right. So that's going to be it for the show this week. I'm going to go ahead and read our outro, and we'll be done. So that's all for today. Please make sure that you subscribe to the Atheism TV channel. There you can watch the Infidel News for the Damned, where our talented team of writers and anchors present these and other stories not normally covered in the media. In the coming week, the Infidel will rerun today's news stories and many more fascinating ones. You'll find Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv. The Infidel Podcast of the Damned is a Nicole SD production. Nicole and I would like to recognize and say thank you to Truth Surge, who did the voiceover used in our intro and gave us permission to use music from his song Lied To as our opening theme. We'd also like to thank Alyssa for participating in today's podcast. Nicole's channel is Nicole SD and can be found at youtube.com/NICOLSD. I am Gamut Man on YouTube, at Gamut Man on Twitter, and my blog and information on my books, including my nonfiction title, Believe It You Know an Atheist, as well as my mystery novels featuring the atheist detective Lupa Schwartz, can be accessed at tinyurl.com/lupalanding. While there, you can sign up to receive my newsletter, and signing up also entitles you to choose one free ebook title from my collection of 99-cent novellas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.